The first style I will be demonstrating is the basic sweater or jumper. Its garment is closed neck, it's a round neck, well really a bit rectangular. Now all of these garments are worked with the same 6mm hook or a J hook for USA and done in exactly the same pattern. One is done in fingering weight bamboo, 4-ply if you're in Australia. One is done in DK weight, a number 3 or what we call an 8-ply here in Australia. And lastly, the yellow one is done in a bright rayon I fell in love with, but I've got no idea what weight it is. This gives us 3 different fabrics, but they're all done for me with my magic number. And how different do they look? Now I'm using my J hook or my 6mm hook, and any yarn I'm going to make 96 chain. I'm going to join with a slip stitch to form a ring. 3 chain, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to work 2 trebles into exactly the same place. Yarn over the hook, insert it into the hole, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2. I'm going to do another one, and I'm going to do a chain. Now I'm going to work 1 more shell. I'm going to miss 1, 2, 3 chains, and I'm going to work the next shell into this 4th one here. So 1 treble, 2 trebles, 3 trebles, and a chain. Now you know if you're in USA if they're all double crochets. I'm going to work along this chain. Here's one I prepared earlier, and when I have 6 shells for my front, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm going to work a corner. So I'm going to miss 1, 2, 3 chains, and I'm going to work a corner. Now just to refresh your memory, a corner is 3 trebles, 2, 3, and for you folk in USA, 3 double crochets, 1 chain, and another 3 double crochets for USA, 3 trebles for everywhere else in the world, really. And don't forget to do the chain. So now I've worked 6 shells, a corner. Now I'm going to work on the shoulder. It's 4 shells for the shoulder, and I'm going to show you what that looks like here with my first round done completely. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shells for the front, a corner for the raglan shaping, 1, 2, 3, 4 for the shoulder, a corner for the raglan shaping, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the back, corner, and 1, 2, 3, 4 for the other shoulder, and we work our corner, and we're going to join it with a slip stitch. And for this demonstration, I'm using different colours so that you can see that. So we're going to end off there, but you wouldn't end off there. I'll show you how we're going to work that in a moment. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm using a contrast thread. That's just going to make it easier for you to see where I'm going. I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitches, across to get to my first 1 chain space. Slip stitching into the chain space so I'm in position. Now I'm going to do 1 chain instead of the traditional 3 chain, because sometimes that 3 chain is just too obvious, or it's too tall for the stitch, or it leaves a gap. My friend Amy Shelton, co-owner of Crochettville, told me about this, and I skeptically tried it. I love it, and I'm completely converted. I use it in all my work now. Thank you, Amy, and thank you for whoever told Amy about this. In regular crochet, when you chain 1, you work into the very first stitch, but I found when working Get Squared that 1 chain replaces the first treble or double crochet and makes your going up invisible, and so too your joining. So I'm going to work my trebles into this stitch, so we only need 2 of them now, because I'm using that 1 chain as the very first stitch. Chain 1, and I'm going to work in pattern, working shells in each chain space across. Now you could sit here while I do that, or I could show you one already done. So this is where I've worked, starting here in every chain space across. When I get to the corner, I work a corner. I work in every chain space across. When I get to a corner, I work a corner. A shell in every chain space across. When I get to a corner, I work a corner. Shell in every chain space, I work a corner and I join. This is where I would slip stitch again across into there and start my next row. Now you're going to repeat round 2, working a shell into each chain space and a corner into each corner until the work measures our magic number. And in this case, we're working with Esmeralda and it's 17 inches. Let me get rid of this and show you where we're up to. I've worked in pattern to the magic measurement. Now we'll be measuring the back. To get our magic number, we need to measure the 17 inches from one corner to the next corner, from the chain space in that corner to the chain space in that corner. So if I hold that on there, it should be exactly 17 inches. The measurement is correct. Now we're ready to join the underarms, and I'll show you that in just a moment. We're going to be joining the underarm. So what I want you to do is to work in pattern until you get to the first corner. You're only going to work a shell into the corner, not a corner, so just one shell. 1 treble, 2 trebles, 3 trebles, I know I'm speaking Australian, and 1 chain. And I'm now going to skip all of the shoulder or the armhole spaces, and I'm going to work the next shell into the next corner. 3 treble, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to continue working along the back until I get to that corner, and we're going to join again. Now I've worked right across the back and I've reached the next corner. Now I'm going to work 1 shell into the corner chain space, 1 treble, 2 trebles, 3 trebles, and 1 chain. And I'm going to skip all of the armhole and I'm going to work a shell into the next corner. So now we're just going to put a shell in each chain space till I get back to the beginning, and I'm going to join with a slip stitch. I'm just going to pop this on our mannequin Esmeralda so you can see where we're going. I'm going to pull the sleeve through here so you can see the armhole, and the sleeve through the other side. And what we're going to do now is keep working. Where I have the green, you're going to be working around and around and around till you get the garment the length you want it. I'm now going to slip stitch across to our first chain space. And like I did before in our demonstration, I'm just going to do 1 chain to go up and 2 more trebles to make our first shell. And I'm going to work in shells, remember the chain, in each chain space around, and we're going to continue doing this around and around like I showed you on our mannequin Esmeralda. So I'm going to work in this chain space, and I'm going to work here until we get to the armhole so you can see what happens. Shell in the next chain space. Now we've come to the shell, the chain space where the arm was, where we had one shell, and we're going to put a shell in the underarm. One chain, and we're just going to keep working around the whole way. We're going to join here with a slip stitch into that position there when we've finished the round, and just continue on till it's as long as you like. Don't forget, you can try it on at any time. Now we're about to do a sleeve. The first thing I want to show you is a treble in mid-air. So a treble in mid-air is I start with a slip knot on my hook, I yarn over, but I put my finger on the yarn and I work straight into the chain space. Now I'm going to do that again for you. Slip knot on my hook, yarn over, finger on the yarn, and I insert it into the chain space and I complete my treble. Now as a kid, I did this with my first granny square at about the age of 9. I don't know if my cousin did it this way and showed me. I've always done it this way. It wasn't until I was attending my first conference in 1998 that I found out that everybody else in the world didn't do it this way. Now I've noticed that Edie Ekman calls it a standing double crochet and Doris Chan calls it an air double crochet. Now the reason they call it a double crochet is because they're American. But finally it's being recognised as a great way to start. I'll just do that again for you. Yarn over, finger on it, into the hole, pull up a loop, yarn over and finish the stitch. So we've started at the back of the armhole, up high, and we're going to work around to make our sleeve. Work one shell in each chain space until you get to the corner. I'm doing this in a bright orange so it's easy to see. We are working in pattern over the existing stitches of our armhole that we skipped as we did the body of the garment. And we start right up the top of the back so that as we move around we don't ever get to the spot where we're decreasing. When I say working in pattern, that means placing a shell in each chain space. Now we are now at our corner. See in the pink, we have our corner there. We're going to do a decrease, a 4 treble decrease between that and that corner. So let me show how it's done. First of all, we do 1 treble, 1 double crochet for Americans, and now we're going to do 2 double crochets together. Yarn over, insert it into the chain space, pull up a loop, yarn over, we're going to pull through 2, but we're going to leave those last 2 on the hook. We're going to miss all of this in between and we're going to yarn over and insert the hook into our other corner. That's why I've done it in pink so it's easy to see. Because remember the green is the part of our garment. We'll pull that through 2 and when we have 3 loops on the hook, we're going to yarn over and pull it through all 3. Now we're going to work 1 more treble into that chain space. Now that's a decrease. Let me put that down there for you. And what I like to do with that is place a marker in it so I don't lose my spot. And I'm going to work a shell in each chain space till I get back to the beginning. I've come to the end of my round. I'm just going to join with a slip stitch into the first stitch, slip stitch across to the first chain space like I've done before. Sometimes it's nice for me to repeat things so you don't have to rewind. Slip stitch into the chain space, work 1 chain, 2 trebles as our first shell, and now we're going to work in shells till we get to that marker. So working in shells to the marker, we're nearly there. Markers here, one more shell to go. Now here is our marker. That was our decrease from before. What we're going to do now is work our next decrease from there to there. So I work 1 treble into the chain space before the marker. I work the next decrease by working a treble until there are 2 loops left on the hook. Skip all of that, yarn over and work a treble into the next chain space until there are 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3 and do 1 more treble. Now before we get lost, we move our marker. So take it out of there and place it in here, because we're going to repeat that each row until we get our sleeve the width we want it. So we work 1 shell in each chain space all the way around and join just like we did. I continued repeating my decreasing rounds, and now I need to measure my sleeve. Now my sleeve measurement has to be 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters larger than half of my arm measurement. Now that's the measurement we wrote down. We wrote down the measurement for the arm, then we halved it. That was some maths. And what I'm aiming for here is I need the sleeve to be 6.5 inches. So I'm just going to put that on there, and I've now got to just 6.5 inches. I'm going to continue working straight without shaping until the sleeve is the length I want it to be. There are notes in your PDF to help you get a long tapered sleeve. All of the sleeve styles are completely interchangeable, and the bonus is that you can try them on at any time to see if you've got it the way you want it. All garments have a pattern shortcut and a chart with international symbols.